Hello, everybody. Welcome to Audio Alchemy with Chris Smith, the show where I interview the best voice actors, podcasters, and actors, singers out there to find out how they turn their voices into the pure gold that they give us. And guys, today we have no exception to their rule. He is an actor of stage, screen, and podcast as well. He is a brilliant voice actor who you have known for many years. He has played Thaddeus Fleece in Solon Street. Many of you will know him for many things as Megan 2.0, but for recent times in podcast news, he is the voice of Dr. John H. Watson in Sherlock & Co. Lovely to meet you, Mr. Paul Waggott.
Hello, how you doing, Chris?
Oh, it's an absolute pleasure, sir. I mean, we were talking about this a little bit before, but I've had many people on here, but of the CV that you have, of a distinguished career in almost every genre of stage, screen, podcast, film, you've taken acting by storm.
I mean, it helps to be diverse when you're, job to job. If you can kind of spread your talents across the mix of things, it's a good way to keep,
No,
keep the work ticking in.
I respect that. You are a proper working actor. You know, you do not turn down the job.
Correct.
Yes. Well, I mean, let's start from the basis. So, like all the people I talk to, which is it's getting a habit right now. You are a theatre kid. You started in theatre, studied
Yes.
as well. So, I mean, one of the earliest performances I have with you was in 2009, where you performed in Death and the Dream Life of El Fantasma. If I got that name right.
Death in the Dream Life of Elephants. I don't
That's it.
know.
Why is it?
Yeah.
Oh, for God's sake! Sorry, Death and the Dream of Elephants. Sorry, the CV I got was ruined. But like, performance is there, so it's just like, what drew the love of acting?
Yeah, gosh. I mean, my first sort of performance, that was my first kind of professional performance. But I'd started in amateur theatre doing musicals when I was at high school. So, back 2002 or three, I think was my first kind of amateur musical. And I think for me, it was like we just moved to New Zealand as a family. Uh, and I was, 12 or 13, and it's a difficult time to uproot yourself from all your schoolmates and try and restart
Yeah,
in a new country. And the theatre was a great place to meet people and make friends. There was, obviously played a bit of football and stuff, but the theatre was a great place to make new friends and kind of feel settled into a place. And on top of that, that was kind of the first time that I experienced that rush of going on stage and experiencing what it's like to kind of, perform with an audience and feel that flow and that kind of rush. It's just such a drug.
I mean, you carried on with it until today. But like, what would you say was like the first role that you got where you could say to yourself like, "Wow, I'm a professional actor. This is my first proper gig."
Yeah. I think that Death in the Dream Life of Elephants was the first time I got a wage. And that was kind of a big turning point where you like every week the money turns up in your account and you think, well, this is quite nice.
Now,
Getting paid to do this thing.
when we say wage, do we mean like you actually got paid good money, or was it like here's a fiver and be done with it?
Well, for that one, it was actually the second time we did that show was at a theatre in Wellington that had funding back in those days, and so it was a livable weekly wage, which was lovely.
Ah,
Um,
very good.
but yeah, that was a big sort of turning point where I thought, oh, this is quite nice getting paid for this. And then a lot of the other shows I did were at a theatre in Wellington called Circa, which worked on a sort of profit share um, situation with a grant. So those ones were, equally as professional in the production, but you were always kind of rolling the dice as to whether enough audience members would turn up to make the money back that you needed to get at the end. But I was very fortunate in that we always got something out of those shows. So
Yeah, well, I mean, looking at your CV right now, I don't think there was ever a year where you didn't work, like you weren't part of something. Like,
mm.
is that your motivation that no matter what, you always keep moving?
Yeah, I think so. I think when there have been quiet years, um, I mean, I guess the thing is that during a quiet year when the auditions come up, um, you're less kind of match fit. Um, you know, you have to keep working allows you to keep the muscles kind of fresh and ready to go. So then when those opportunities present themselves, you can kind of jump in and try and grasp them as opposed to being, you know, a little bit low on confidence because I haven't really done anything for the last 6 months and I feel I'm not quite
Yeah,
sure how to go about this anymore. And so it's to me, it's always a case of if an opportunity arises to do some work, there's always going to be something to learn from it or something to come out of it, you know?
that I love it. Commendable to do that, especially in that job. It's like, is there a time where it's like you've been particularly picky with certain roles, or is it just whatever looks good?
Um, I feel like I haven't been particularly picky. I certainly don't feel like I'm in a place in my career where I can really afford to be too picky. You know, I've done a lot of work, but you know, it's not like offers are pouring over the table all the time. So,
Well, I guess I mean, like, do you have like a certain preference? Like, is there a role people will think, oh, okay, there's the role that's been written down. Like, I know, I'll get you.
oh yeah, I mean, I've always laughed about this with my wife that, you know, I mean, I don't want to sound like an idiot here or like a, you know, an arrogant person, but I feel like I'm relatively intelligent. You know, I did well at school and did well at university, and I like to read books, you know. And yet I often end up playing these kind of good-hearted, bumbling idiots. Um,
Yeah.
and I find that quite funny that that's sort of that's a place that I can kind of naturally fall into performatively. Which kind of means that I then, on a picky sense, I like to try and do other roles
Well, I
because
mean,
you don't want
anyone
to
who
feel
does,
like, ooh,
well, I mean, anyone who does, I mean, you do tend to. I mean, I love the fact that your humble brag of like, oh, I don't want to sound too arrogant. It's like I'm sort of intelligent. It's like, back yourself up a little bit better than that, man. But I love the fact like you do tend to go more the comedy route. You do like to try and make
yeah,
people laugh more. You know.
yeah, I do. You know, if you gave me the option of saying, you know, do you want to spend the next 10 years of your career doing exclusively comedy or exclusively drama, I'd absolutely do comedy. I mean, it's so much fun to produce, to make it, you know, when you're on set or, you know, behind the microphone and you get these hilarious things to read or hilarious things to do. That's joyous in and of itself. And then also I think kind of, you know, the world is such that bringing light into it is a good thing. Um,
Yeah.
and I feel nice doing comedy. I think there's a lot of struggle in the world, and if we can find light in that darkness, it's a good thing. So,
Absolutely right. I mean, you have dabbled in drama just to keep people.
oh
It's just like
yeah,
yeah. I mean, you
and
have dabbled a little
you
bit.
know, I love it. And if anyone's listening that wants to give me a role in a drama, I wouldn't say no. But
Sure,
you
I'm
know,
sure the offers will come out there.
yeah,
Yeah, but I mean, so I worked in stage for a while, but then you transitioned into film, did your own short
hmm
films for a time. Was there, which then got you the big roles, but like, was there a weird sense of like performing on stage where it's like everyone sees you, it's all live, you have the commit, you have everyone backing you as an actual production
mm,
versus even a short film where it's like it's close set, it's all you, there's one camera, there's no one to work with. Was that
mm.
strange to feel as an actor to do that transition?
Yeah, um, it's definitely different, and you know, screen to stage to voice. I'm definitely one of those people that likes to sort of rather than saying, "Oh, I'm a voice actor," just I'm an actor.
Hmm.
But it's a different skill set, and screen was a big change, I think. And kind of, you know, on stage you get the whole arc of a story or the whole arc of a character to play um, every night, and so that emotional journey is always there. But when you're doing screen work, you get that, you know, ah, first thing this morning we're doing that big emotional scene.
Yes.
And you turn up, you've just, you know, you had breakfast and you get your makeup on and then you go on set and you're okay, and you know, we're away.
Mm.
So you don't necessarily have that lead in, so you kind of have to do a lot more um, kind of warm up, I guess, kind of self-guided, getting yourself into the right place for the day.
Mm.
And I feel like I think it was Denzel Washington talked about this was a big thing in my learning process about screen was that theater is an actor's medium, screen is
Oh,
is a filmmaker's medium.
yeah.
So as an actor on screen, kind of reminding yourself that every take and every setup and every shot and every scene, what you're doing is you're generating the building blocks for the director and the editor to go away and make the film.
Yeah, I get that because I mean, there's
Yeah.
also, I guess, in a sense with film that, like you say, it's out of order. I mean, you do have to
Mm.
with at least with at least with like being on stage, you can warm up to the role. Like, okay, this is the bit that's going to happen when it's a film or even TV. You have to just be on. Like, you have to be like,
Mm.
okay, this is the scene where you have to be emotional. I have to turn on the charm or turn on the crying.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's kind of I think I found it easy in my early days of screen work to kind of get carried away with "Oh, I'm having a great time, we're making a film, this is fun." And you kind of realize, well, actually, I can do that after the scenes. Before the scenes, I need to be really thinking about what the scene is and where I'm going. And so sometimes you can kind of feel a bit like a bit of a sad guy, sitting in the corner
I
trying to
mean,
think about the scene ahead. But that's the job, The camera guys are setting up the cameras, they're doing their job. The sound guys are getting ready to record, like you've got to get
oh
ready to perform.
oh yeah, but there must have been a moment like the first time you noticed where you were a little bit starstruck or a little bit like, oh my god, I'm on a film set. Yeah, the moment where you were like, oh my god.
Absolutely. I mean, the biggest one of those was I did uh, a couple of weeks, maybe just under a couple of weeks on Time Bandits.
Yes, yes.
And the crew on that there were hundreds of people in the crew on that. And
Mm.
so, you walk onto set and the studio in Wellington was the studio that Peter Jackson built post Lord of the Rings, these sound stages. So these are huge modern sound stages, absolutely vast. And we were shooting on the Unreal, the volume, the Unreal Engine 3D walls that
Yeah.
replace green screen. And you walk on, there's hundreds of people kind of then going, right, we've done our job, now you've got to do yours. And you think, oh, okay,
I mean
cool.
that. I mean that role. I mean, in Time Wars where you're essentially the caveman, which is absolutely
Yeah,
hilarious. The makeup, I imagine, must have been a nightmare.
yeah, those were long days. Those were sort of, I mean, by prosthetic standards, they were quite easy, I think. It was only sort of 2 hours in, and an hour out. But even so, that's a lot of time in the morning, and the just getting it all glued on, and then getting the glue off. And by the end of the 2 weeks, my skin was just sort of saying, "Please, can you not
Oh
do any
god.
more of that for a bit?" So. Yeah, the
I,
makeup, but I mean, it was really cool when they finished putting the makeup on. You look yourself in the mirror and go, "Ha, cool."
well, I suppose also the fact that I mean, and not that you didn't have this before, but it's like you saw yourself on TV. I was like, yep, there I am, next to
Yeah,
Next to Lisa Kudrow.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I mean, that's another part of it, when you go on set to a job that big, and then day one, and Jermaine Clement directed
Yes.
the first episode I was in, and I'm sure you can imagine that he came up through Wellington Theatre with Taika and Brett,
I
and
mean,
they're such great improvisers.
yeah, New
And
Zealand
so they had
royalty
the
there.
scripts. Well, exactly. And we turned up and it was kind of like, yeah, we'll do the scripts and we'll just kind of improv and play around. And he'd be yelling ideas at you. And so, you turn up and day one, I was, felt quite starstruck having to immediately start kind of improvising a scene with Lisa Kudrow or, I was like, this is mad. But it was incredible. It was a great experience and I had such a fun time. And I really liked those episodes of the show. I really liked the show, actually. I really enjoyed that show on Apple, and I wish there was more of it. But
Well, we never know. Apple's always waiting
yeah,
for that sort of thing. They always are a little bit
yeah,
delayed.
yes, yeah, that's true. Yeah.
But I mean, another big role that that got you into the line, especially New Zealand, was the fact that you appeared in the soap opera. You
Yes.
played Thaddeus in Shortland Street.
Yeah, he was great. He's still alive, which is good news. So
Yes, you made
he
that
can
point.
always return. Yeah, he's currently raising a child in the Philippines. But that was a huge a privilege to be on that show, I think.
I mean,
So often
is it weird
the
because I mean, working on a soap essentially is kind of a stable gig. It is one where it's like
mm,
if you've got a good storyline, you're in it every single week.
yeah, yeah. It was I did just over a year, and
Mm.
it was yeah, all week, every week, basically.
I mean, was it
I
was
mean,
it?
you'd have shorter days or longer days, but it
Yeah.
was yeah.
But was it something where like people were starting? I mean, I don't know. From this all the time, that was like people were starting to notice you. Where it was like, hey, it's Thaddeus. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, people still do. I was in a supermarket a couple of weeks ago, and someone was like, "Oh, you were on Shortland Street," and I was like, "I was on Shortland Street, yeah." And it's been about a year since I was on it, but it's nice to still have people go, "Oh, hey, you're the
I,
pharmacist." I'm like, correct.
I suppose that's nice to be that your character, no matter what, even now, is still memorable. You're still the guy on it.
Yeah, yeah, and people. I mean, like he was a very fun character. There are some kind of serious characters, obviously, and serious storylines, but I was always the sort of the good-hearted bumbling idiot
I
who brought the light-hearted aspects into the scenes and kind of changed the energy a bit.
Well, I mean, that's also the role that you performed most in. I think over 100 episodes you were in there for. I mean,
Yeah,
the only role that's going to rival closest to you is literally Watson. But like,
yeah,
is there sort of like a weird sense of ownership with like characters like that, where it's like after you play them for like a long time, it's like I kind of know the character better than the writer.
yeah. I mean, I'd be wary of saying better, but
No, I know.
certainly it becomes more of a conversation.
Mm.
You'll get a script through sometimes, and you would go, "I don't think I'd say that. I don't think I'd do that." And Shortland Street was good. Like you could go and chat to the writers, but I always think that there's an important balance to strike of staying in your lane, I think.
Yes,
I feel ownership over the character, and I feel like I wouldn't do that. But I'm also happy to talk to the writers and go, okay, I mean, they know what they're doing. They're not, they're very talented and they do great work. And writers are always. Um, I've worked with some actors. I'm just trying to think of the most political way to say this. I've worked with some actors who can be a little bit adversarial towards the writers,
oh, very good.
and I think for me, there's no benefit in that. Nobody wins. Um,
Yes, I suppose it's a weird. I guess there's a balance to it, to kind of say that where it's like, no matter what, the writers do kind of have to win because they're the ones who wrote you in.
totally, and they also have a longer term
Yes.
thought process for the show. Like I haven't seen necessarily the storyboards for 3 months down the line that they're working towards. So if I go, this doesn't make sense to me. They go, oh, well, actually, in 3 months' time, this is going to happen.
Yeah.
I go, oh, well, now it makes sense. So, um, and also I think, sometimes you get actors who go, oh, I don't like this scene because of X, Y, or Z. And I've always been of the attitude, you kind of have to throw away your ego. I think you have to throw away your ego to act well and to say, it's not about Paul, it's about the show and what I'm going to do. Does it make sense for the show? And is it good for the show? Well, then it doesn't matter if I look stupid. And also, if I do a good job, if I perform the scene with commitment and intensity and honesty, then no one watches it and goes, oh man, Paul looks stupid. They'll watch it and go, oh, Thaddeus looks stupid, or they'll listen and go, oh, John Watson sounds stupid. And you think, yeah, but because the character doing something silly isn't a reflection on me, and it's important to kind of separate yourself from the character. And again, I've worked with some actors in the past who can get a little bit hung up on that sort of stuff and go, oh, but I don't want to do that because I'll
Yeah,
look
I get
silly.
that. But
Like, well,
there's a large sense of ownership that, whilst yeah, you're right. Like there's a bit of you where it's like, oh yeah, I get, I should say it, but it's like Overall, you didn't write it. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah. I just think, yeah, the ownership of the character is kind of is important, and obviously take control of that character and kind of fight for that character if you think, oh, I
Well, is
don't
that
think.
is that different than also with John Watson, your other one? Because not only is he a well-known character in his own right, he's also one where it's like Thaddeus was you. That says that no one else played Thaddeus but you. A lot of other
Mm,
people have played Watson before. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think our Watson, the Watson that Joel is writing and that I'm performing, uh, there are certainly some close parallels or similar styles of Watson, and obviously the sort of inherent Watson Watsonness remains the
Yes.
same. But yeah, I think it is interesting knowing that you're sort of joining a canon of work. Um, and I think, Joel has talked about this, that the aim is to adapt every single story, which would be
Yeah.
um, a first
It would be because
to do. Yeah.
no TV show or film has ever done it.
No, I mean there's a lot of stories to adapt. So yeah, we're ticking our way through them. But yeah, I mean like there's been times where Joel has sent me a script a couple of times, and again, like literally a couple of times out of the scores of scripts we've worked through for Sherlock and Co now, where he said, "I'm not quite sure if Watson is Watson enough in this. Would you mind just if you feel like doing something more Watson-y in these bits, making it more Watson?"
Does
And
that
we
make
kind of
sense?
know it
Does that
does
make
make
sense to
sense to
you?
me. Yeah. 'Cause there, certain things that he does and certain ways that he kind of stutters about and mumbles his way through scenes sometimes I think are kind of key to how he travels through the world. So you can kind of see that sometimes in the script when Joel has said, "Oh, could you make this one a little bit more Watson?" You go, "Oh yeah, I can just kind of fudge these bits and make him less confident or something." But also Joel and I and Adam have been working together since the beginning of the offensive in
Yeah. So 2018.
2018. Yeah, so
I was gonna
we've
say that that wasn't the first. Yeah, yeah, the offensive was sort of the first collaboration between you three, wasn't it?
yeah, yeah. So, there's 8 years of work between us now. Um, we have a pretty solid understanding of uh how we all work, I think. Adam does the lion's share of the editing, and so I send him all my files, and I think by this stage we're pretty good at um the adventure we're working on right now in the recording stage. I've sent my files to Adam, and he's just got back with the pickups, and across the four parts, I think it was a four-parter. There's maybe 10 or 12 re-records, which
I
is not
suppose
many.
no, but I mean
Yeah.
it's. I suppose that's something that's different in a sense because I asked Harry and Adam about this one when they were on there. Since that
Mm.
a lot of people forget that you're not all in the same room. You're not even in the same country. You're literally
Yeah.
thousands of miles away from each other, and a lot of times it's you having deep conversations or even arguments with a wall.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And I think that was harder at the beginning. Um, so when we started the offensive, we recorded in person
Mm,
for the first kind of most of the first two seasons of the offensive were recorded in person, I think. I think I'm right in saying that. And then obviously COVID happened
yeah,
and we didn't record in person. And then I moved back to New Zealand. And so we definitely didn't record in person.
no,
But we'd had that time together to build those performances
yeah.
with each other. Whereas with this one, from the very beginning, we were recording separately. So it took a few adventures to really hone in on kind of my understanding of Harry's Sherlock, and
Yes.
without wanting to speak for Harry, presumably Harry's understanding of my Watson or how he feels about it,
Yeah.
that 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 kind of I can read the script now and go, I think I know how this is going to sound in the final script because I know, or I have an idea of how Harry's likely to perform it and how Adam's likely to want which which take Adam's likely to want to use.
Mm.
So we kind of have that idea. So you can kind of tailor I mean, also it's written in a way that it's well written. So you're not going to go and perform a scene and then Adam go, well, actually, Paul, you're completely wrong because clearly that was a very emotional, sad scene, and you've done it as if it was the Chuckle Brothers, you know?
Well, I mean, we should point out, I mean, that Sherlock and Co. isn't the only voice acting role that what you've done. You've had a long career of voice acting in many other
Mm.
things. Like, is it sort of was it strange in the beginning to sort of like try and have roles in big shows and big podcasts where it's like, okay, this is going to be this is by a lot of people, and I'm in my spare bedroom just talking to a wall, trying to work out how to do this. I mean, I know Harry has a wardrobe. I think goes into. Do you have like a
Yes.
do you have like a certain space where it's like this is where I'm going to work?
Yeah, I used to have a wardrobe, which was great. And then we moved out. We were renting that apartment, and then we moved into a different apartment, a bigger apartment, and but bigger apartment, but smaller wardrobes. I couldn't fit in the wardrobes. So that was gone, and I thought, oh no. And so for a good year and a half, to the great complaint of my knees, I we had one of those, we still have it, but I don't use it to record anymore, but the lift up storage beds.
Oh God.
And I'd lift up the bed and then pop some little like acoustic shields in
Yeah.
front and get under the bed and record under there. And the sound quality was great, but I'd get about half an hour in and have to get up and stretch my legs, or I'd finish the episode and kind of crawl out of the bed because both of my legs had gone completely dead.
You were effectively acting on a church pew.
Yeah, yeah. Which was, you know, when we get those scenes that are quite kinetic in the show, and Watson and Sherlock are sprinting across the streets of Calcutta or something,
Oh
and
yeah.
that's very difficult to do when you're cross-legged under a bed. So, um, end of last year, my darling wife actually went out and purchased some stand-up acoustic screens that I can now just build myself a little corner of the office and
How good.
stand up and record. So I'm now recording in a much more civilized way, which is great.
But
Um,
is there a weird expectation that if I mean when you tell people that you're a voice actor, people think, oh, he must have like the finest equipment, he must have his own space, you must have like a studio where you go to, and you're just like, no, I just I just have it in my house. It's just like,
yeah. Yeah, I mean, some people, and like also sometimes people say, "Oh, and you do that at home?" And I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." And then some people who are um, much more sort of professional at home recorders will start
wow.
talking to me about their oh, see, I don't even know what they're called. What are they called? Like the thing they plug their mic into that then goes to the computer, you know?
I know what you mean. I can't remember
Yeah.
it either.
But
But
see, there we go. I just record onto a Zoom microphone and put an SD card in my computer at the end of that. And other people are using, big professional equipment. And it's one of those things that I'm like, "Oh, that'd be nice to have, but we don't really have space in our apartment.
yeah,
And
but yeah.
it's a lot of money for something that I might not use that often. But yeah, there's definitely sort of when people certainly when people came to our old apartment and you could show them the wardrobe and be like, that's where we recorded The Offensive. And all of Jackie the Ripper was recorded in this
Yeah.
wardrobe because my wife was actually in that show. And so she recorded all of her parts in the wardrobe as well. So a large part of Jackie the Ripper was recorded in a wardrobe in Auckland, New Zealand. So that's nice.
What a weird bit of history there.
Yeah. Yeah.
No. Well, I mean, like you talk about like the. I imagine because you're in New Zealand, and as we've
Mm.
established here, there is a bit of a weird time difference, especially
Yes.
like with a lot of projects that are based in England or America, or
Hmm.
like with the Amelia project, which you were in like in Paris and other things. It has time differences made recording and getting feedback difficult.
Yeah. Well, the Amelia project was very, very fortuitous. We were trying to set up a time and studios, and I was looking at trying to find somewhere over here that I could go into, and then I happened to be back in London for a Sherlock and Co. Patreon event in December 2024.
Yes.
And we managed to record the Amelia project in London. So um, we popped into a studio in London and did it there, which was much easier than trying to do it across the distance because I'd never worked with those guys before and it was a new character. So we did a couple of test reads before I got to London to try and frame the
Yes.
character up and work out how he was going to sound and who he was going to be. But um, that was lucky that I was in London at the time, so we didn't have too much of the time difference. But actually, I think the time differences work quite well because, uh, you know, Adam works quite late
Mm.
editing, so he'll often send stuff through, and then I can do that work while he's asleep, and then he can wake up and it's ready to go.
Oh, yeah, I guess you're right.
So in a
Yeah.
lot of ways, there's less dead time for him anyway.
Mm.
Um, Obviously, that's the best case scenario. It doesn't always happen that I get to do it the day he sends it. No,
No, I
so
imagine there's.
I'm not that much of a wizard.
Oh, it's the
So
same
often
as
he has to
before.
wait days. But yeah, the time difference isn't too bad. Um, I think, it's pretty much direct opposite most of the time. It's 11 to 13 hours depending on daylight savings, but a lot of the year it's 12 hours simple. Whereas, I play D&D online with a friend of mine in LA, and that's an absolute nightmare for time
Oh
difference
my
because I can
God.
never remember what the hell the time difference is supposed to be, and it's something like 20 hours, but the day before it's 4 hours ahead, but I don't know.
I mean, that must be insane. Just like, say that, oh, the game's on Thursday. It's Tuesday for me. But yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, we just set up a little calendar invite, and I just trust that the machines have selected the right time, and I turn up, and usually everyone's there, so it's good.
Trust that Zoom will get it right.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I love that. But I mean, to give people some context, with the Amelia Project, it was Romulus, the episode that you were in. And I
Yes.
feel so bad because I didn't recognize you for like the first 10 minutes because the voice you put it on was like very unlike you. Well, not unlike you, but I was like, I'm so used. I'm so bad. I'm so used to John Watson's like tone
Yes, yeah.
that when Romulus started getting a little bit like antsy, I was like, why do I know this voice? Oh my God, it's Paul! Like, God damn it! Like,
I mean, that's a nice thing to hear. That you
no, but
didn't listen to it and go, "Oh, there's Paul doing the same thing." It was like, "Yeah, great."
no, I'm so trying to pride myself thinking like with guest stars and be like, oh, I know these people, they're so great, but like I kept thinking like,
Yeah.
I shouldn't have tuned you to one character. It's just because I listened to that one so much.
Yeah. I had a whale of a time doing that script. I thought it was absolutely hilarious, the Romulus script. It was so much fun. And I uh in my sort of vanilla way, I'm a big fan of the Roman Empire. I find it a fascinating part of history. So actually kind of, of all the characters in history to get going back and doing Romulus, I was like, that's quite cool. Quite like that.
No, man, no, you lucked out with role though. Just like, oh, you're playing
Yeah.
like that guy. It's just like
Yeah. Yeah.
I just kept thinking like, oh, this guy sounds so stoic. I think, like, why do I know him? Like, I don't think I know this
Yeah.
guy. But I mean,
I mean, in my head, that Romulus, I was like, do you know who he's a little bit like? He's a little bit like Zach Brannigan from
yes, yes, he
Futurama.
is. Yeah.
The
Oh
sort
my God.
of, hyper confident because he's really completely lacking in confidence sort of
Yes.
character that we've all seen in a million things. But I definitely thought of Zach Brannigan in the script for Romulus. So I just had so much fun with that one. That was great.
Oh, so good. I mean, so getting back to so obviously the one big project right now is Sherlock and Co, which everyone,
Mhm.
especially me, like, it's my favorite podcast ever. Everyone loves you for. Do people sort of expect that you just know a lot of Sherlock Holmes now?
Yeah, which I don't.
Don't worry.
I I had never read any Sherlock Holmes before doing the project. I have
Really?
now.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, like obviously I was aware of it, and I'd watched the BBC Sherlock, um, and the Robert
Well,
Downey
you
Jr. Jude Law Sherlock.
you did more than Harry did.
Yeah.
As I was told, Harry didn't even watch Sherlock.
Yes. No, I mean I loved the BBC Sherlock. I thought it was fantastic. Yeah, overall I loved it. I thought it. I don't think it's a controversial opinion to say maybe it kind of lost its way by the
Yeah,
end.
yeah, that's stupid. Yeah.
But
Apologies to Harry there for throwing him under the bus. I didn't mean to. You're still great.
well, but the thing is now, so I read a couple of the original short stories as audiobooks for the Patreon,
Yes, yes, I know. Yes.
and it's funny to me because Joel is obviously adapting them into the modern day. So some of the things are changed quite a bit to make them make sense in the modern day. And so, people would say to me, "Oh, in this story of Sherlock Holmes, it it would be completely different, and I would actually have no idea what they were talking about." And I'd be like,
Yes, well, I
"Wait,
mean,
what was
like,
that one?"
because yeah, I get that. I mean, because yeah, Joel does very well, like in modernizing all of them to an extent where they can actually work. I mean,
Yeah,
because I am a Sherlockian, I do know the stories. I do know like one or two where it's just like I'll be a little bit surprised on how he does it.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's yeah, his work is astounding on this project. And I will say that I am excited once we're finished. I'm looking forward to going through and reading the complete works, and
they're,
getting through it all.
they're absolutely
Um,
worth it. They're really good.
yeah, and I do have I actually have at least two copies on the bookshelf and a Kindle copy, so
Well,
I'm
that
ready
aside,
to go.
for Patreon, you are reading them
Yes.
to people. Where I imagine Patreon listeners might be very strange to hear Watson as 1800s Watson.
Yeah, which was interesting as well because it was like, his turn of phrase in the books is obviously uh,
Yeah,
of the time. Um, so naturally, the kind of performance in the reading shifted a little bit. It's still, because that Watson is very similar to me tonally,
yeah.
versus Romulus or even Sir Patrick Nolan MBE,
Oh my god,
um,
yeah.
who was quite different to me. Uh,
Yes.
but yeah, yeah, those audiobooks were great. It's just
Well, I mean, would you say that with Watson, that Joel sort of tailor made him for you?
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean,
Um,
Joel and Adam approached me about the project in its sort of nascent stages. And we worked on a couple of drafts. I know there was one point where we were looking at making Watson a bit more regional,
oh,
accent
really?
wise. Uh, I was born in Newcastle, but I grew up in Hampshire since I was 6 months old, so I never got the accent. But we talked about making him more northern, um, but we didn't in the end. We just thought we'll keep him as my voice, make it as
Indeed,
natural as possible, you know?
it works. It works very well for
Yeah,
it.
yeah, it does. And I've been to Swindon. Um,
I was gonna ask because I think I was adding this as well. Is there does Swindon Town like you or not?
I've,
Because you
you
do
know,
kind of throw them under the bus a little bit sometimes.
I mean, in defense of Joel, Swindon Town are having a bit of a tough time of it in the football. So yeah, but it is. I think so because at the end of the day, Watson loves them. He's just
But then
heartbroken by the fact that they're not very good.
I mean, because I think Adam got sent a mug from a fan for Swindon Town. Like, have you received anything for Swindon Town?
Well, the best thing. when I went to the meetup in London, that 2024, someone had brought over these, and I'm horrified to say I can't remember. I'd been on the ground for 2 or 3 days. I was in a jet lagged haze, so I've forgotten who gave me things when we were there. But someone gave me this plushie, like a little soft toy version of Watson
No
that they
way.
had made, and Watson is wearing a Swindon Town shirt,
Oh my
which
God.
is outstanding, an outstanding level of detail.
Do you know what?
Um,
I think I remember Harry showing me because he showed me the little one that he did,
yeah.
which is absolutely fantastic. I'm not going to ask you to show because I imagine it's probably lost somewhere in your house.
No, it's on the bookshelf in Pride of Place. It's just that I'm in a different room and I'm
No,
wearing
no, no.
wired
I
headphones.
respect
So
that. The
yeah,
fact that you have one, the fact there are plushies, and I
yeah,
keep saying this to Joel and Adam, make them merch.
yeah, yeah,
People will
yeah,
buy them. But
yeah. I
I
mean,
mean,
I know with Joel and Adam, well, at one point we talked about this sort of thing, and they said they were hesitant about it because they don't want to give John and Sherlock a canon appearance.
I understand that, but then I
Yeah,
was going to ask because at least on the socials, there's the fan art Friday, which I imagine you've been sent quite a lot of fan art, where
yeah,
people have given what Sherlock and Watson a sort of established look.
yeah. There is a very established look for both of them, I'd say, in the
Yeah.
fan arts. Yeah, certainly Watson
I mean,
has a very clear to me when I look at it. I'm like, oh yeah,
I mean, were you
I can, yeah.
surprised? Were you surprised that that's what the fans kind of saw you as Watson?
Mm, Not really. I mean, the best bit was when the first time I saw people were drawing it, and I had literally just shaved my face down into just a moustache for a while for fun, and then people were drawing Watson with a moustache, and I was like, how did they know?
They know, man. They look.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think the way that people are drawing the characters is very true to the way that they're described in the show.
Yes.
Um, and it's it's
I mean,
cool to see that the people get all of the fan art really capture the spirit of those characters.
yeah.
Um,
Well, it's also a thing because I always, when I look at like other shows that do sort of this, they tend to like model the voice actors and try and model into it. And it's interesting that with this show, almost none of you look like your character. I mean, you are sort of
yeah,
you're the closest, but not
yeah,
really.
yeah, yeah. It is, and I mean that's one of the joys of voice acting. I think is that uh, for screen and stage, you are inherently somewhat constrained by your own physical appearance. Um, However, I'm unlikely to ever play a WWF wrestler or a heavyweight boxing champion in a film.
I would say never. I think you could bulk up.
Look, there's anabolic steroids, I know, but the Hollywood trick. Um, but you're limited in that sense. Whereas with voice, there's much more freedom for people to play things that they wouldn't get the chance to play in screen or stage, which is really cool and really exciting. And then you get the wonderful things like Baldur's Gate 3, where
Yes.
the characters are heavily modeled off the actors. Um,
Yeah.
and then of course the sort of performance capture of it, which is a super exciting field that I think is yeah, a big opening for actors to
Yes. Another
really.
another avenue I imagine you want to step into more.
I would love to. I play a lot of video games and I've always wanted to be in one. So one of
Yeah,
these days it will happen.
Baldur's
Um,
Gate 4 will come out at some point.
yeah, yeah, but yeah, it's very cool the sort of the opportunity, and studios like that who are still trusting of actors and value the craft that the actors bring to a character. Um, because obviously, not to spend any time on the big bogeyman now, but obviously AI is knocking on the
Yeah,
door, and I would like it to knock on the door, walk through the door, straight through the room, out the window, to the bottom of the sea. But that's me. That's how I feel about it.
I think I can safely say you and me both. I do. Yeah,
Yeah.
I do not need a thing to take away any more of the job I already have.
Yeah, and I just even if it gets really, really good, which it isn't yet, but even if it gets to the point where it is really, really good, it's always going to be a thing doing an impression
Yeah,
of something. It's never going to feel the emotions.
yeah.
I
I
don't
no,
think it's
I no,
possible.
I
And so it's not going to be a true performance. And it's not, the joy of performance and the joy of storytelling is a human sharing something with a human. And and no matter how good the AI is, it's going to be a facsimile of that.
no, I get that entirely. Like there's a thing that people will always tell. There's a thing like no matter what they do. The way I was just
Yeah.
the way someone told me about it, and it's very weird when they did it. It said it's like when the Muppets change voices. And I asked them, what does that mean? It's like because there's your Kermit, and then there's the other people's Kermit, and that doesn't sound the way that you want them to.
Yeah. 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 I saw someone describe it the other day as the asbestos of the internet. In that right now people are like, oh, it's brilliant, let's put it in everything. And then we're going to spend the next 5 decades trying to remove it from everything because we go, actually, it's rubbish
Oh
and it's
God,
just
yeah,
made
that's
everything dumb.
so true. All right. Let's let's
So,
let's get more
yeah.
lighthearted now. We depressed ourselves enough by this much future. So, I mean, you played a various amount of roles, which I imagine you love each one dearly to your heart. But
Mm.
which one would you say do you get recognized the most of now?
Ooh. I mean, visually, still Thaddeus from Shorten Street in New Zealand.
Hmm?
Um, Adam and I, in December, when I'd come over for this event, it was a surprise. So I was sort of there secretly. I wasn't allowed to put on social media that I was flying or anything. And
Oh,
we staged this thing, sort of Adam pretended that he was going to stand in for me at the event, and then I kind of burst through the back curtain being like, "No, I'm here, I'll do it." It was great. But so I'd arrived for this secret meetup, and I'd landed, and Adam was like, "Hey, do you want to come see a football match tonight?"
hmm.
Um, Huddersfield Town are away at Leyton Orient. High class football.
proper proper
And
proper
I
match.
landed at 6 a.m. and the game was that evening. And I was like, yeah, I think it'd be good because it would keep me awake. It would give me something to stay awake for. Anyway, we go to this game. Adam's a Huddersfield Town fan. He's so we're queuing up with the away fans to get in. And uh Adam and I are just chatting in the line, and someone comes up behind us and is like, hang on, and recognized us from the offensive and
Oh
knew our voices
wow!
from that. And Adam was like, "Oh God!" And then he put it on Twitter. He's like, "You never guess who I just met." And Adam had to message him in the morning and be like, "Could you take that off Twitter, please? Just
We
just for
don't want to
3 more
spoil the
days."
surprise.
Yeah. And we didn't imagine there was too much of a crossover between Huddersfield Town away fans and Patreon members of Sherlock and Co. But there was always the risk. So we were like, "Please," and he was obviously like, "Oh yeah, no worries," and took it down. But
I imagine that must have been weird because I imagine you two must have been like, oh, they'll even if they do recognize you, they'll be like, oh, it'll be from Sherlock. Sherlock and Co. Be like, no, it's
mm.
funny offensive a show you haven't done in about 5 years.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But that was great. I mean, that was lovely. And I think, I mean, Patrick's very close to my chest because, to my chest, close to my heart.
Yeah,
Close to my chest. Oh, close to my chest. Yeah, that is a phrase, just the wrong one.
same thing. Doesn't
Um,
matter.
yeah, he's very close to my heart, Patrick Nolan. Uh, he was kind of, um, when I did have some quiet years, he was always there, kind of ticking me along. And so he kind of kept me engaged in the craft and in the industry, which has been, something that I will never take for granted.
No, as
So
you
I got a
shouldn't.
lot of time for Patrick Nolan, and it was nice to be recognized as Patrick Nolan again.
Well, I guess it's also a little bit nice to know, no matter what, in the collaboration with you three, you've carried football on from each project up until Sherlock.
Yeah,
Football is always there.
yeah. Football is life.
Oh God.
Yeah.
So, I mean, one more thing before we get to rapid fire. What is there any sort of future role that you would love to play in the future?
Oh. I mean, beyond specifics, I would just love to get to do um, a long run with a character on screen, like a multi-season comedy would be
Yeah.
great, to get to spend that time with a character. And, I mean, the joy of that is once you spend that time with the character, you kind of just know how they behave, and you can act much more naturally, I think, when you've spent that time with the character. So you react as they would react. And I find that, when recording with Watson, even though I'm imagining what Harry's going to say, I know how he'll react to things.
Well, I mean, don't you
Um,
don't you at least you get the full script, don't you? You don't just get your
I get
lines
the
and
full
that's it.
script. Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, obviously I read the full script.
Oh yeah.
Um,
That would be very weird if they just only gave you your lines and you just had to guess.
do you know that in Shakespeare's day, that's how you got your scripts?
Really?
Because people had to write them out. So they didn't write out the whole play for everyone. So you would get your scenes and you'd get your cue line and then your speech. And obviously you'd rehearse it, so you'd go, "Oh, that's what they're talking about." But at first
Yeah.
you go, "Oh, that's weird. What am I saying that in respect?" You get your cue line, and that was it.
Yeah. I'm glad I
Yeah,
learned something about Shakespeare.
yeah, there we go. I'm pretty sure that's right. I could be wrong. No one,
I'm
no,
I'm not going to
no one
Google it.
come
I'll
for me
hold
if
you
I'm
to it.
wrong.
Yeah. I read your CV.
Um,
Shakespeare's one of your main things.
I do like Shakespeare, yeah, but yeah, I'd love to do like a long-term multi-series comedy. I just think it's so much. Comedy is fun, and then just kind of getting to hang out with a character for a long time is fun. So,
I mean, there's also another thing, just a general curiosity, is the notion that you're an actor of
mhm.
who is from New Zealand. Is there an assumption that people think, oh, you're an actor from New Zealand? Which bit in Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit were you in?
Well, there is that assumption, and I was in The Hobbit, so there we go.
Oh, good. No,
I
he
was
was
a
right.
I was a wide shot picture double for Aidan Turner. So in the back, I think there's only one shot that I can guarantee was me, but it's some of the sort of very long range shots of them crossing the landscapes. It's actually me dressed up as a dwarf because they're
Oh,
not
that's
going to,
cool.
for the long range shots. Half the time, it's too expensive to use the actor, so
Yeah.
we'll use a cheaper actor. Um, but that was a
I
cool
mean,
experience, and yeah,
I mean, had you pointed yourself out to friends in the hobby? I was like, yeah, that's me.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Although I haven't watched The Hobbit for many years, so I probably can't remember where it is now. But
No,
yeah,
I always just thought there was a bit of unintentional bias. Just everyone thinks, oh, like all New Zealand must have somehow been in one of those movies. Like, is it just episodes that even now?
yeah. Well, I mean, the Lord of the Rings trilogy for people who were working in the industry at the time, so many people were in that. Um, and then yeah, The Hobbit was a big one. Avatar was huge for people in Wellington.
Yes.
Um, lots and lots of people in the first Avatar, less so in the sequels as more and more people were digital.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a
Um,
shame.
but yeah, I mean they're still making those, and that's still great for the industry in New Zealand.
Don't worry. I mean, somehow they'll be remade.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and the hunt for Gollum is in the pipeline for
Oh, yeah,
the
that's a
Lord of the
big
Rings,
thing.
so
Uh,
that'll be happening here. So there's still opportunities for New Zealanders to get themselves into Tolkien's universe, despite the
not
Rings of Power moving back to the UK.
not that we're assuming that New Zealand is only good for that. We're
Yeah.
giving that you have more stuff, as you've just proven. You have
Yes,
more than that.
yeah.
All right. I mean, you've been fantastic, but let's get into the rapid fire questions round. These are the questions where I'm not expecting like we can still chat and have a good long answers, but I want at least a definitive answer to some of these
Yeah,
things. So
great. Okay.
they don't have to be
Cool.
fast. So and we'll determine which ones are left for Sherlock and Co for Amazon because we know that people want actually answers for them. So for Sherlock and Co only, easiest episode to work on.
Easiest episode to work on. Who? Oh, I think. Oh gosh, I don't know. the short ones, like the two-parters, are the easiest to
I
work
mean,
on.
we could just boil it down to shortest, easiest adventure. That doesn't need to be a specific
Yeah,
episode.
I mean the easiest adventures, yeah, the two-parters are always easier to work on because obviously they just take less time to do.
Fair enough.
Um, and I don't know. I think, hmm, Thor Bridge I found quite easy.
Okay,
I really enjoyed the script for that one, so I definitely remember that one being like a blast to get through.
fair enough.
Yeah, let's say that.
All right, I'll get. I mean, let's be honest, mate. There are a lot of them. I'll be surprised you remember
Yeah,
any. A lot of the dates.
yeah,
A
yeah.
lot of the
And some of them
dates.
were a long time ago, so yeah,
Yes, just to bear. If anyone listening or watching this, there's been like nearly 100 episodes of them. Actually, over 100 episodes of Sherlock and Co. Not
yeah,
going to remember all
yeah,
of them.
yeah.
Okay, then flip side of that, the hardest adventure to work on.
Hardest. Um, Either, I know you wanted definitive, but I'm going to definitively give you two options.
Fair enough.
Either The Sign of Four, because that was our first novel,
Yes.
and so it was our first 10-part adventure, and there was a lot of, running through the streets of India and running along the road and catching trains and all the sort of extra stuff that you need to factor into your performance. And it was just a lot of a lot of words to record. So either that one or what was it called? The one. See, I can't remember their proper names now. The one with the ghostly guy in the
Oh,
window.
the creeping man.
Yeah, just because there's the bit where Watson falls into the swimming pool
Yes, it is. It's the creeping
and
man.
speaks underwater. And so
Oh, golly, how did you do that?
I filled up a mixing bowl with water and stuck my head in it and yelled into the mixing bowl,
Oh my god.
which worked really well. And then Adam did extra work around it to make it sound more like a swimming pool than a small mixing bowl. But yeah, that was a an interesting, sometimes you get a bit in the script and you go, oh, how am I going to try and create anything like this sound?
I mean, I
So
applaud your creativity, and I also imagine that immediately after doing it, you were just like, "This is my job."
yeah, yeah. I just waterboarded myself. Excellent. Yeah.
See, for a second, I thought you were going to do Hand of the Basketballs because that was the other 10-parter you had to do.
Yeah. I love doing Hand of the Baskervilles. It was another long one, but man, I mean, it's iconic as a
I mean, yeah,
story. And my gosh,
literally the
it was
one that
just,
everyone knows.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that was great fun, actually, that one.
Okay, okay. Now we'll branch out a little bit more. The toughest role you ever played.
Toughest role I ever played. Um, Maybe. I think I did a play called Tribes by Nina Rain, um, in which I played a deaf character. Um, and the emotional weight of that play, because the story was kind of him struggling with his family, who were a hearing family,
Oh,
and he kind of meets a girl who's deaf, and she kind of brings him into the deaf world and sign language and kind of being who he is. And so the emotional weight of that every night, kind of having this big sort of familial breakup.
I was going. I mean, I don't know if you know, but did you have to learn sign language for that?
I did, yeah. It's actually the play in which I met my wife.
Oh,
She
fantastic.
helped teach the sign language for that. Um, so I did have to learn some, and also, this was uh, some years ago, 2010, maybe 2011, maybe 2012, but it was long enough ago. Um, and I think, now we're much better at making sure that for roles like that we'd be using a deaf actor.
Yes,
And certainly I would be much more hesitant now to take on a role like that.
I get that.
Um,
I'm always the idea of like, if you're good for the role, I respect you for. I mean, because it's acting, but I also understand the notion of like, yeah, give roles to the people
yeah,
who like act.
and I think, if the production does enough work to make sure that they've really looked
Yeah,
across the board to find the right people,
yes,
then you kind
everyone's
of
an
trust
actor.
their decisions at the end. But yeah, just throwing that out there that I'm not out here stealing roles from
No,
parts
you're
from my
not. We know.
scripts.
No, we're not putting that
Um,
out there.
but yeah, that was hard just because of the weight of it emotionally every night was hefty. View from the Bridge was another one similar to that where I played Rodolfo, the young Italian migrant to New York, and it was just a big journey every night to go through watching, arriving, falling in love with this girl, her uncle being killed by my brother, it being kind of just an emotional challenge every night for a month.
Because
So
imagine
those, yeah,
people do forget that you actually can do accents. You actually are very talented.
yeah, 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 and yet really struggle with the New Zealand accent. So there's that.
Yeah.
It's so hard to do. It's so
I,
hard to do.
you're talking to the wrong person. I'm not going to know about what to do. Uh, okay, so let's move on. We can make this a Sherlock and go on, but it could be anything. Favorite line or monologue you remember?
Ooh, look, we'll go Sherlock and Co. And it's definitely recency bias, but Watson's monologue climbing the side of the building in
Oh yes.
that one recently. I can never remember their names. I'm so bad at this. Uh,
Um, the second stain, I think.
the second stain, it was, yeah. The sort of Love Actually style. This
Yes.
is Britain monologue, but full of Watson hurting himself on the pipe, and
Oh, I love that.
that was great fun. There was also one in Jackie the Ripper where Joel had written this monologue for me, and it was huge. And I had a great time with it. And there's an outtake somewhere where in the last paragraph, I just got too full of saliva and had to swallow halfway through a word.
Oh,
And then started swearing angry at myself because it was the whole monologue. I was like, oh God, I got to do it again.
oh my.
So somewhere
No,
there's an outtake that's appeared, I believe,
no, I
in
love that. I mean, because prior to Adam and Harry both basically said the same answer, so I applaud you for doing different because their answer was basically just saying was Sherlock going, "Good God," like that was it. But if I can interject, my favorite line of you as Watson, I think it's like I can't remember. I think it's like the blonde soldier or whatever. But it's basically like I normally don't like cringe whatsoever, but it's when you're giving a speech in front of a school kids that you taught Gen Z. I will never not find that funny.
Yeah, yeah, that was great. That was a good one actually. I did enjoy that. That was great fun.
I can only imagine you reading that going, "Oh my God, why are you making me say these things?"
I had to talk to friends of mine to be like, what am I saying? Still I'm confused by a lot of Gen Z slang, and you know what? I'm sure people said the same about my slang when I was young. Power to
Oh,
them,
fair
up your
enough.
own
Fair
slang.
enough.
But I will
Um,
sit here going, shouting at clouds like an old man, going, I don't know what you're talking about.
yeah. All right. Let's move on. So this one I will at least give you a top three. So with
Right.
Sherlock, top three adventures.
Ooh, yeah. Sign of four.
Yeah, that's a great one.
Sorry, I've just seen a praying mantis on my curtain. That's fun.
Oh,
Look at
I
him.
wish I had more
Anyway,
excitement than this.
yeah, Sign of Four. I enjoy listening to that. I think it's just a really touching story for John.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm very proud of my wife's work as Mary. I thought she was great.
Yeah, she
Um,
was fantastic.
so yeah, Sign of Four. Feels like a cheat to say Hound of the Baskervilles, so I shan't.
I mean, if you
Um,
can't think of any, I'll take it. I mean, it's
I did enjoy. Oh, I really enjoyed the Scottish one when we went to the island in Scotland.
Oh, oh, I know what you mean. I can't remember the. I no, I love that one too.
That was great. I liked that one. And let's say, um, oh, the one with the race car, the car in the house, the fancy house, and there's like a beer festival.
Shockham something.
Yeah, something manor.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
God, what? Yeah, we're too brilliant at this. I'm a Sherlockian and you're Watson. I try to remember these goddamn names. I'll give you my
those
three.
ones were great.
I'll give you my three
Yeah.
for her. But Inside of Four is definitely one for me. Um, trying to remember like the Scandal Bohemia one. I do like.
Oh, yep, yep,
Just
yep.
because, yeah, primarily just because also there's that mode of dressing up and stuff which I find funny, but also the
Yeah.
it was like where Charlotte just gets the character way too much. Um, but the other one, oh, I'm trying to remember what it's called. The Gloria Scott,
Ah,
but
yes,
like
yeah,
the old tank or whatever it was here, where it's like
yeah. That
because
was a
because
cool one, actually.
yeah, because I enjoyed talking to Adam about this, where it's like Adam because the way like he has to edit John, making him sound like he doesn't know how to edit podcasts well. It makes him sound like he has to like throw you under the bus so much, just like
Yeah,
cut talking, it's just like random music, just like
yeah. Yeah, Gloria Scott was cool. I'll
uh,
also, I know maybe, I just want to say a big thank you to Joel for allowing John Watson to meet Alan Shearer before I've had the chance to meet Alan Shearer in real life. And I'm like, gosh, my hero as a child, and John's getting to hang out with him. I was like, oh.
yeah. Not only that, Gary Lineker as well.
Mm. That Christmas special actually with Gary Lineker, Richard Osman. Um, yeah, the Christmas episode with the Three Gables
Yeah,
and the Goalhanger Christmas party. I loved that.
oh,
I thought that was very fun. And
that's a
Richard
brilliant one.
Osman was great in that.
Yeah. I do also like the one up in the Scotland Sun just because it's funny where it's just like you talk about trains, which is hilarious to me.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Favorite podcast other than yours?
Um, truthful answer is the rest is history.
Very good. Well done.
Um, just love listening to those guys, and I love history, so
No, I love that.
double tick for me.
And I respect you sticking the goal handers values.
Yeah, I promise I haven't been asked to say another goal hanger podcast. Um, yeah, gosh, and I also really love In Our Time, which is
Oh,
just, I mean, it's one of those ones where there's always a few weeks where I'm like, I have no interest in listening to that episode.
yeah.
But, you know, it's just such a fascinating show that covers so many random things every week, and
I love that.
there are so many clever people in the world. So, yeah.
And we end it on no, brilliant way of doing this so far. Favorite Sherlock Holmes story?
Oh, yes. Well, okay.
I'll try my best to if you have to describe it, I can try and give the name, but like
I mean, like I said, I haven't read many of them, but like the Baskervilles is it's such a basic answer, but it's so good. The
no,
gothic
I mean you're
horror
right.
of it,
It's just
like
so good.
it's so clever. Like it's just yeah, the atmosphere of that story is fantastic. So I'm
No,
going to say Hound of the Baskervilles. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with vanilla.
you know what? I respect that. And
Yeah.
well, a perfect way to finish this episode. Well, thank you, Paul. You've been a fantastic guest. Thank you so much for being on my show. I
You're
mean,
very welcome. Thank you.
yeah, I mean, yeah, you've been an absolute pleasure to talk to. Please tell people where they can find you, what projects you're doing, how can people know who you are.
You can find Sherlock and Co. wherever you get your podcasts. I assume maybe if you get your podcast from some very obscure place, you can't, but I pretty much everywhere you get your podcasts.
Yeah.
Also, excitingly, in September, there is a live show of Sherlock and Co. at the South Bank
Ah,
Centre in
cool.
London. Uh, so that is happening in September, which will be very exciting. Goalhanger are taking over the South Bank Centre for a weekend, and we are doing a live show. So that will be the first time that Harry, me, and Marta are actually going to be in one room. One room doing an adventure. We've
Yeah.
obviously
Wow,
been in a room before.
that literally will be something that people cannot miss.
Yes, exactly. Otherwise, all the other projects that are upcoming are still secret. So that's a shame. That's the
That's
worst
fair.
thing about you're like, there's a cool thing coming up, but I can't say anything about it. So wait for that and enjoy it when it happens.
Fair enough. Uh, yeah, Paul, thank you so much for being a part of this. I hope everyone has enjoyed listening to this. Remember, Sherlock and Co is out there everywhere else for you to want to listen to. Uh, I will be back next week with different guests or whatever we want to talk to. Thanks so much for being a part of us, and we will see you guys next week. Take care, everyone. Bye.